Dracula by Bram Stoker. Read for Mermaids by Gabriel Soulstreaker. Chapter 14. Mina Harker's Journal. 23rd of September. Jonathan is better after a bad night. I'm so glad that he has plenty of work to do, but that keeps his mind off the terrible things. And oh, I'm rejoiced that he is now not weighed down with the responsibility of his new position. I knew he would be true to himself, and now how proud I am to see Jonathan rising to the height of his advancement and keeping pace in all the ways with the duties that come upon him. He will be away all day till late, for he said he could not lunch at home. My household work is done, so I shall take his foreign journal, lock myself up in my room, and read it. "24th of September. I hadn't the heart to write last night. That terrible record of Jonathan's upsets me so. Poor dear. How he must have suffered, whether it be true or only imagination. I wonder, is there any truth in it at all? Did he get his brain fever and then write all those terrible things, or had he some cause for it all? I suppose I shall never know, for I dare not open the subject to him. And yet, that man we saw yesterday, he seemed quite certain of him. Poor fellow. I suppose it was the funeral upset him and sent his mind back on some train of thought. He believes it all himself. I remember how on our wedding day he said, "Unless some solemn duty come back upon me to go back to the bitter hours, asleep or awake, mad or sane, there seems to be through it some thread of continuity. That fearful Count was coming to London. If it should be, and he came to London, with his teeming millions, there may be a solemn duty, and if it come, we must not shrink away. I shall be prepared. I shall get my typewriter this very hour and begin transcribing. Then we shall be ready for other eyes if required. And if it be wanted, then, perhaps, if I am ready, poor Jonathan may not be upset, for I can speak for him and never let him be troubled or worried with it at all. If Jonathan quite gets over the nervousness, he may want to tell me of it, and I can ask him questions and find out things, and see how I may comfort him. Letter. Van Helsing to Mrs. Harker. 24th of September. Written in confidence. Dear Madame. This is Van Helsing's voice. 1 second. I just need to make a small adjustment to the microphone. Just a moment. Let's see if this is better. Dear Madame, I pray you to pardon my writing, that I am so far friend that I sent you sad news of Miss Lucy Westenra's death. By the kindness of Lord Godalming, I am empowered to read her letters and papers, for I am deeply concerned about certain matters vitally important. In them, I find some letters for you, which show how great friends you were and how you loved her. Oh, Madam Mina, by that love I implore you, help me. It is for others' good that I ask. To redress great wrong and to lift much and terrible troubles that may be more great than you can know. May it be that I can see you. You can trust me. I am friend of Dr. John Seward and Lord Godalming. That was Arthur with Miss Lucy. I must keep it private for the present from all. I should come to Exeter to see you at once, if you tell me I am privileged to come, where and when. I implore your pardon, madam. I've read your letters to poor Lucy, and I know how good you are, and how your husband suffers. So I pray you, it may be, enlighten him not, lest it may harm. Again your pardon, and forgive me. Van Helsing. Telegram. Mrs. Harker to Van Helsing. 25th September. Come today by 10:15 train if you can catch it. Can see you any time you call. Wilhelmina Harker. Mina Harker's Journal, 25th of September. I cannot help but feel terribly excited as the time draws near for the visit of Dr. Van Helsing. Somehow, I expect that it will throw some light upon Jonathan's sad experience, and as he attended poor dear Lucy in her last illness, he can tell me all about her. That is the reason for his coming. It is concerning Lucy and her sleepwalking, but not about Jonathan. And I shall never know the real truth. How silly I am. That awful journal gets hold of my imagination and tinges everything with something of its own color. Of course it is about Lucy. That habit came back to the poor dear, and that awful night on the cliff must have made her ill. I had almost forgotten in my own affairs how ill she was afterwards. She must have told him of her sleepwalking adventure on the cliff, but that I knew all about it. Now he wants me to tell him what he knows, what she knows, so that he may understand. I hope I did right in not saying anything of it to Miss Westenra. I should never forgive myself if any act of mine, were it even a negative one, brought harm on poor dear Lucy. I hope, too, Dr. Van Helsing will not blame me. I have had so much trouble and anxiety of late that I feel I cannot bear more at present. I suppose a cry does us all good at times. Clears the air as other rain does. Perhaps it was reading the journal yesterday that upset me. And then Jonathan went away this morning to stay away from me for a whole day and night. The first time we have been parted since our marriage. I do hope the dear fellow will take care of himself, and that nothing will occur to upset him. It is 2 o'clock, and the doctor will be here soon now. I shall say nothing of Jonathan's journal unless he asks. I am so glad that I have typewritten it out in my own journal, so that, in case he asks about Lucy, I can hand it to him. It will save much questioning. later. He has come and gone. Oh, what a strange feeling, and how it all makes my head whirl round. I feel like one in a dream. Can it all be possible, or even a part of it? If I had not read Jonathan's journal first, I should never have accepted even a possibility. Poor dear Jonathan. How he must have suffered. Please the good God, all this may not upset him again. I shall try to save him from it, but it may even be a consolation and a help to him, terrible though it be, and awful in its consequences, to know for certain that his eyes and ears and brain did not deceive him, and that it is all true. It may be that it is the doubt which haunts him, that when the doubt is removed, no matter which, waking or dreaming, may prove the truth, he will be more satisfied and better able to bear the shock. Dr. Van Helsing must be as good a man as well as a clever one, if he is Arthur's friend and Dr. Seward's, and if they brought him all the way from Holland to look after Lucy. I feel, from having seen him, that he is good and kind and of noble nature. When he comes tomorrow, I shall ask him about Jonathan. Then, please God, all this sorrow and anxiety may lead to a good end. I used to think that I would like to practice interviewing. Jonathan's friend on the Exeter News told him that memory was everything in such work. You must be able to put down exactly almost every word spoken, even if you had to refine some of it afterwards. Here was a rare interview. I shall try to record it verbatim. It was 2:30 when the knock came. I took my courage à deux mains and waited. In a few minutes, Mary opened the door and announced, "Dr. Van Helsing." I rose and bowed, and he came towards me, a man of medium weight, strongly built, with his shoulders set back over a broad, deep chest, and a neck well balanced on the trunk as the head is on the neck. The poise of the head strikes one at once as indicative of thought and power. The head is noble, well-sized, broad, and large behind the ears. The face, clean-shaven, shows a hard, square chin, a large, resolute, mobile mouth, a good-sized nose, rather straight but with quick, sensitive nostrils that seem to broaden as the big, bushy brows come down and the mouth tightens. The forehead is broad and fine, rising at first, almost straight, and sloping back above two humps or ridges wide apart. Such a forehead that the reddish hair cannot possibly tumble over. It falls naturally back and to the sides. Big, dark, blue eyes are set widely apart, and are quick and tender, or stern with the man's moods. He said to me, "Miss Harker, is it not?" I bowed assent. "That was Miss Mina Murray." Again, I assented. "It is Mina Murray that I came to see, that was friend of that poor dear child, Lucy Westenra." "Madam Mina, it is on account of the dead I come." "Sir," I said, "you could have no better claim on me than that you are a friend and helper of Lucy Westenra." And I held out my hand. He took it and said, tenderly, "Oh, Madam Mina, I knew that the friend of poor Lily must be good, but I had yet to learn." He finished his speech with a courtly bow. I asked him what it was that he wanted to see me about. So he at once began. I have read your letters to Miss Lucy. Forgive me, but I had to inquire somewhere, and there was none to ask. I know that you were with her at Whitby. Sometimes kept a diary. You need not look surprised, Madam Mina. It was begun after you had left. Her diary was an imitation of yours, and in that diary, she traces by inference certain things to a sleepwalking, in which she puts down that you saved her. In great perplexity, I come to you, and I ask you, of your so much kindness, to tell me all of it that you can remember. I can tell you, I think, Dr. Van Helsing, all about it. Ah, then you have a good memory for facts, for details. It is not always so. No, Doctor, but I wrote it all down at the time. I could show it to you, if you like. Oh, Madam Mina, I will be grateful. You will do me much favor. I could not resist the temptation of mystifying him a bit. I suppose it is some of the taste of the original apple that still remains in our mouths. So I handed him the shorthand diary. He took it with a grateful bow and said, "May I read it?" "If you wish." I answered as demurely as I could. He opened it, and for an instant his face fell. Then he stood up and bowed. "Oh, you so clever woman," he said. "I knew long that Mr. Jonathan was a man of much thankfulness. But see, his wife have all the good things, and will you not so much honour me, and so help me to read it for me?" Alas, I know not the shorthand. By this time, my little joke was over, and I was almost ashamed, so I took the typewritten copy from the work basket and handed it to him. "Forgive me," I said. "I could not help it, but I had been thinking that it was of dear Lucy that you wished to ask, and so that you might not have time to wait, not on my account, because I know your time must be precious. I've written it out on the typewriter for you." He took it, and his eyes glistened. "You are so good," he said. "And may I read it now? I may want to ask you some things when I have read." "By all means," I said. "Read it over whilst I order lunch, and then you can ask me questions whilst we eat." He bowed and settled himself in a chair with his back to the light and became absorbed in the papers, whilst I went to see after lunch, chiefly in order that he might not be disturbed. When I came back, I found him walking hurriedly up and down the room, his face all ablaze with excitement. He rushed up to me and took me by both hands. "Oh, Madam Mina," he said, "how can I say what I owe you? This paper is as sunshine. It opens the gate to me. I am dazed, I am dazzled with so much light, and yet clouds roll in behind the light every time. But that you do not, cannot comprehend. Oh, but I am grateful to you, you so clever woman." He said this very solemnly. "If ever Abraham Van Helsing can do anything for you or yours, I trust you will let me know. It will be a pleasure and delight if I may serve you as a friend, but all I have ever learned, all I can ever do, shall be for you and those you love. There are darknesses in life, and there are lights you are one of the lights. You will have a happy and good life, and your husband will be blessed in you. But, Doctor, you praise me too much, and you do not know me. Not know you? I, who am old, and who have studied all things my life, men and women. I, who have made my specialty the brain, and all that belongs to him, and all that follow from him. I have read your diary, and that you have so goodly written for me, which breathes on truth in every line. I have read your sweet letter to poor Lucy, of your marriage and your trust, not know you. Oh, Madam Mina, good women tell all their lives, and by day and by hour and by minute, such things that angels can read, and we men who wish to know have in us something of an angel's eyes. Your husband is noble nature, and you are noble too, for your trust, and trust cannot be where there is mean nature. And your husband, tell me of him. Is he quite well? Is all that fever gone, and is he strong and hearty? I saw her an opening to ask him about Jonathan, so I said, he has almost recovered, but he's been greatly upset by Mr. Hawkins' death. He interrupted. Oh yes, I know. I have read your last 2 letters. I went on. I suppose this upset him, for when we were in town on Thursday, he had a sort of shock. A shock, and after brain fever so soon. That was not good. What kind of shock? He thought he saw someone, or recalled something terrible, something which led to his brain fever. And here the whole thing seemed to overwhelm me in a rush, the pity for Jonathan, the horror that he experienced, the whole fearful mystery of his diary, and the fear that has been brooding over me ever since. All came in a tumult. I suppose I was hysterical, for I threw myself on my knees and held my hands up to him, and implored him to make my husband well again. He took my hands and raised me up, and made me sit on the sofa, and sat by me. He held my hand in his and said to me with such infinite sweetness, my life is a barren and lonely one, and so full of work that I have not had much time for friendships. But since I have been summoned to here by my friend John Seward, I have known so many good people and seen such nobility that I feel more than ever. It has grown with my advancing years, the loneliness of my life. Believe me, then, that I come here full of respect for you, and have given me hope. Hope not in what I am seeking of, but that there are good women still left to make life happy. Good women whose lives and whose truth may make good lesson for the children. My version has a slight error here. Okay, one moment. Good women whose lives and whose truth may make good lesson for the children that are to be. I am glad that I may here be of some use to you. For, if your husband suffer, he suffer within the range of my study and experience. I promise you that I will gladly do all for him that I can, all to make his life strong and manly, and your life a happy one. But now you must eat. You are overwrought, or perhaps over-anxious. Husband Jonathan would not like to see you so pale, and what he like not where he love is not as good. Therefore for his sake you must eat. You have told me all about Lucy, and so now we shall not speak of it, lest it distress. I shall stay in Exeter tonight, for I want to think much over what you have told me. When I have thought, I will ask you questions, if I may. And then, too, you will tell me of husband Jonathan's trouble, so far as you can, but not yet. You must eat, and afterwards you shall tell me all. After lunch, we went back to the great drawing room. He said to me, "And now, tell me all about him." When it came to speaking to this great learned man, I began to fear that he would think me a weak fool, and Jonathan a madman. A journalist also strange, and I hesitated to go on. But he was so sweet and kind, and he had promised to help as best he could. I trusted him, so I said, "Dr. Van Helsing, what I have to tell you is so queer that you must not laugh at me and my husband. I've been since yesterday in a sort of fever of doubt. You must be kind and not think me foolish that I have even half believed some of these very strange things." He reassured me by his manner as well as his words when he said, "Oh, my dear, if only you know how strange is the matter regarding which I am here, it is you who would laugh. I've learned not to think little of anyone's belief, no matter how strange it be. I am trying to keep an open mind, and it is not the ordinary things of life that could close it, but the strange things, the extraordinary things, the things that make one doubt if they be mad or sane." Thank you 1,000 times. You have taken a weight off my mind. If you will let me, I shall give you a paper to read. It is long, but I have typewritten it out. It will tell you my trouble and Jonathan's. It is the copy of his journal when abroad and all that happened. I dare not say anything of it. You will read for yourself and judge. And when I see you, perhaps, you will be very kind and tell me what you think." "I promise," he said as I gave him the papers. "I shall, in the morning, so soon as I can, come see you and your husband, if I may. Jonathan will be here at 11:30, and you must come to lunch with us and see him then. You could catch the quick 3:34 train, which will leave you off at Paddington before 8. He was surprised at my knowledge of the trains offhand, but does not know that I have made up all the trains to and from Exeter, so that I may help Jonathan in case he is in a hurry. So he took the papers with him and went away, and I sat here thinking, I don't know what. Letter by hand, Van Helsing to Mrs. Harker, 25th of September, 6 o'clock. Dear Madam Mina, I have read your husband's so wonderful diary. You may sleep without doubt. Strange and terrible as it is true. I will pledge my life on it. It may be worse for others, but for him and you there is no dread. He is a noble fellow, and let me tell you from experience of man, that one who would do as he did in going down that wall into that room, aye, and going in a second time, is not one to be injured by permanence, by a shock. His brain and his heart are all right. This I swear, before I have even seen him, so be at rest. I shall have much to ask him of other things. I'm blessed today that I come see you, for I have learned all at once so much that again I am dazzled more than ever, and I must think. Yours most faithful, Abraham Van Helsing. Letter, Mrs. Harker to Van Helsing, 25th September, 6:30 p.m. My dear Van Helsing, 1,000 thanks for your kind letter, which has taken a great weight off my mind. And yet, if it be true, what terrible things there are in the world, and what an awful thing if that man, that monster, be really in London. I fear to think. I have, this moment, whilst writing, had a wire from Jonathan, saying that he leaves by the 6:25 tonight from Lancaston. I shall be here at 10:18, so that I have no fear tonight. Will you, therefore, instead of lunching with us, please come to breakfast at 8 o'clock, if this is not too early for you? You can get away, if you are in a hurry, by the 10:30 train, which will bring you to Paddington by 2:35. Do not answer this, as I shall take it that, if I do not hear, you will come to breakfast. Believe me, your faithful and grateful friend, Mina Harker. Oh, just a sec, chat. I just got a strange notification. Shinewall, you still here? If you are, did I disconnect and reconnect, or have I been here the whole time? Interesting. Okay, must have just been some kind of bug. Okay. Right. I'm actually really warm all of a sudden from all of this. I'm gonna take this hoodie off. Just a second. Okay, I'm sitting back down. Just make some adjustments. I think I'll hydrate before we get going again. Right. Let's get back to it. Jonathan Harker's journal. 26th of September. I thought never to write in this diary again, but the time has come. When I got home last night, Mina had supper ready, and when we had supped, she told me of Van Helsing's visit. Ooh. Oh, that didn't sound good. Okay. And when we had sobbed, she told me of Van Helsing's visit, and of her having given him the diary copy. 2 diaries, okay. Sorry. Okay. She told me Van Helsing's visit, and of her having given him the 2 diaries copied out, and of how anxious she has been about me. She showed me the doctor's letter, that all I wrote down was true. It seems to have made a new man of me. It was the doubt as to the reality of the whole thing that knocked me over. I felt impotent, in the dark, and distrustful. But now that I know, I'm not afraid, even of the Count. He has succeeded, after all then, in his design in getting to London. And it was he that I saw. He has got younger, and how? Van Helsing is the man to unmask him and hunt him out, if he is anything like what Mina says. We sat late and talked it over. Mina is dressing, and I shall call at the hotel in a few minutes and bring him over. He was, I think, surprised to see me. When I came into the room where he was, I introduced myself. He took me by the shoulder and turned my face round to the light, and said, after a sharp scrutiny, "But Madame Mina told me that you were ill, that you had a kind of shock." It was so funny to hear my wife called Madame Mina by this kind, strong-faced old man. I smiled and said, "I was ill. I have had a shock. But you have cured me already." "And how?" "By your letter to Mina last night. I was in doubt, but then everything took a hue of unreality, and I did not know what to trust, even in the evidence of my own senses. Not knowing what to trust, I did not know what to do, and so I had only to keep working in what had hitherto been the groove of my life. The groove ceased to avail me, and I mistrusted myself. Doctor, you don't know what it is to doubt everything, even yourself. No, you don't. You couldn't with eyebrows like yours." He seemed pleased and laughed as he said, "So, you are a physiognomist. I learn more here with each hour. I am so much pleasure coming to you for breakfast. And oh, sir, you will pardon praise from an old man, but you are blessed in your wife." I would listen to him go on praising Mina for a day, so I simply nodded and stood silent. She is one of God's women, fashioned by his own hand to show us men and other women that there is a heaven that where we can enter, and that its light can be here on earth. So true, sweet, noble, and a little an egoist. And that, let me tell you, is much in this age, so skeptical and selfish. And you, sir? I've read all the letters to poor Miss Lucy, and some of them speak of you. So I know you since some days from the knowing of others, but I've seen your true self since last night. You will give me your hand, will you not? And let us be friends for all our lives." We shook hands, and he was so earnest and so kind that it made me quite choky. "And now," he said, "may I ask you for some help? I have a great task to do, and at the beginning it is to know. You can help me here. Can you tell me of what went before your going to Transylvania? Later on, I may ask for more help, and of a different kind. But at first, this will do." "Look here, sir," I said. "Does what you have to do concern the Count?" "It does," he said solemnly. "Then I am with you heart and soul, As you go by the 10:30 train, you will not have time to read them, but I shall get the bundle of papers. You can take them with you and read them on the train. After breakfast, I saw him to the station. When we were parting, he said, "Perhaps you will come to town if I send to you, and take Madame Mina too." "We shall both come when you will," I said. I had got him the morning papers and the London papers of the previous night, and while we were walking at the carriage window, waiting for the train to start, he was turning them over. His eyes suddenly seemed to catch something in one of them. The Westminster Gazette. I knew it by the colour, and he grew quite white. He read something intently, groaning to himself, "My God, so soon." I do not think he remembered me at the moment. Just then, the whistle blew, and the train moved off. This recalled him to himself, and he leaned out the window and waved his hand, calling out, "Love to Mina. I shall write so soon as ever I can." Dr. Seward's Diary. 26th of September. Truly, there is no such thing as finality. Not a week since I said fini, and yet here I am starting fresh again, or rather going on with the same record. Until this afternoon, I had no cause to think of what is done. Renfield had come, to all intents, as sane as he ever was. He was already well ahead with his fly business, and he had just started in the spider line also, so he had not been of any trouble to me. I had a letter from Arthur, written on Sunday, and from it I gathered that he is bearing up wonderfully well. Quincy Morris is with him, and that is much a help, for he himself is a bubbling well of good spirits. Quincy wrote me a line too, and from him I hear that Arthur is beginning to recover something of his old buoyancy. So as to them, all my mind is at rest. As for myself, I was settling down to my work with the enthusiasm which I used to have for it, so that I might fairly have said that the wound which poor Lucy left on me was becoming cicatrized. Everything is, however, now reopened. And what is to be the end, God only knows. I have an idea that Van Helsing thinks he knows too, but he will only let out enough at a time to whet curiosity. He went to Exeter yesterday and stayed there all night. Today he came back and almost bounded into the room about 5:30 and thrust last night's Westminster Gazette into my hand. "What do you think of that?" he asked as he stood back and folded his arms. I looked over the paper, for I really did not know what he meant, but he took it from me and pointed out a paragraph about children being decoyed away at Hampstead. It did not convey much to me until I reached a passage where it described a small punctured wound on their throats. An idea struck me, and I looked up. "Well," he said, "it is like poor Lucy's." "And what do you make of it?" "Simply that there is some cause in common. Whatever it was that injured her has injured them." I did not quite understand his answer. "That is true, indirectly, but not directly." "How do you mean, Professor?" I asked. I was a little inclined to take his seriousness lightly, for, after all, 4 days of rest and freedom from burning, hurrying anxiety does help to restore one's spirits. When I saw his face, it sobered me, Never, even in the midst of our despair about poor Lucy, had he looked more stern. "Tell me," I said. "I can hazard no opinion. I do not know what to think, and I have no data on which to found a conjecture." "Do you mean to tell me, friend John, do you have no suspicion as to what poor Lucy died of? Not after all the hints given, not only by events, but by me?" "Of nervous prostration following great loss or waste of blood." "And how was the blood lost? Or waste?" I shook my head. He stepped over and sat down beside me and went on. "You are a clever man, friend John. You reason well, and your wit is bold, but you are too prejudiced. You do not let your eyes see, nor your ears hear, and that which is outside your daily life is not of account to you. Do you not think that there are things which you cannot understand, and yet which are? That some people see, that others cannot? There are things old and new which must not be contemplated by men's eyes, because they know or think they know some things which other men have told them. It is the fault of our science that it wants to explain all, and if it explain not, it says there is nothing to explain. But yet, we see around us every day the growth of new beliefs, which think themselves new, and which are yet but the old, which pretend to be young, like the fine ladies at the opera. I suppose now you do not believe in corporeal transference, no, nor in materialization, nor astral bodies, nor in the reading of thought or hypnotism." "Yes," I said. "Charcot has proved that rather well." He smiled as he went on. "Then you are satisfied as to it, yes? And of course then you understand how it acts, how it can follow the mind of the great Charcot, alas that he is no more, into the very soul of the patient that he influenced. Now, then, friend John, am I to take it that you simply accept fact, and are satisfied to let from premise to conclusion be a blank? No? Then tell me, for I am a student of the brain, how you accept the hypnotism and reject the thought reading. Let me tell you, my friend, there are things done today in electrical science which would have been deemed unholy by the very men who discovered electricity, who would themselves not long before been burned as wizards. There are always mysteries in life. Why was it that Methuselah lived for 900 years, and old Pa 169? Yet, poor Lucy, with 4 men's blood in her poor veins, could not live even one day. For, had she lived one more day, we could have saved her. Do you know all the mystery of life and death? Do you know, altogether, of comparative anatomy and can say whether the qualities of brutes are in some men and not in others? Can you tell me why, when other spiders die small and soon, that one great spider lived for centuries in the tower of the old Spanish church, and grew till, on descending, he could drink the oil of the church lamps? Can you tell me why in the pampas, aye, and elsewhere, there are bats that come out at night, open the veins of cattle and horses, and suck dry their veins? How in some islands of the western seas there are bats which hang on the trees all day, and those who have seen as like giant nuts or pods, that when the sailors sleep on the deck, because it is hot, flit down on them. And then, in the morning I found dead men, white, even as Miss Lucy. Good God, Professor, I said, starting up. Do you mean to tell me that Lucy was bitten by such a bat, and that such a thing's here in London in the 19th century? He waved his hand for silence and went on. Can you tell me why the tortoise lives longer than generations of men? Why the elephant goes on until he has seen dynasties? Why the parrot never die, only a bite of cat or dog? Can you tell me why men believe, in all ages and places, that there are some few who live on always, if they be permit? There are men and women who cannot die. We all know, because science has vouched for the fact. There have been toads shut up in rocks for thousands of years, shut in one so small a hole that hold only him since the youth of the world. Can you tell me how the Indian fakir can make himself die and have been buried, and his grave sealed and corn sowed upon it, and the corn reaped and be cut and sown and reaped and cut again, and then men come and take away the unbroken seal? And there lie the fakir, not dead, but that rise up and walk among them as before. Here I interrupted him. I was getting bewildered. He so crowded on my mind his list of nature's eccentricities and possible impossibilities that my imagination was getting fired. I had a dim idea that he was teaching me some lesson, as long ago he used to do in his study in Amsterdam. But he used then to tell me the thing, so that I could have the object of thought in mind all the time. But now I was without his help, yet I wanted to follow him. Hey, Sam 1945. How are you? No, I'm not an AI. My name is Saul. It's on the channel name. Right, I'm just going to carry on to the end of the chapter, okay? No, like Sol, S-O-L, like the sun. So I said, Professor, let me be your pet student again. Tell me the thesis so that I may apply your knowledge as you go on. At present, I'm going in my mind from point to point as a madman, not a sane one follows an idea. I feel like a novice lumbering through a bog in a mist, jumping from one tussock to another in a mere blind effort to move on without knowing where I'm going. That is a good image, he said. Well, I shall tell you. My thesis is this. I want you to believe. To believe what? To believe in things that you cannot. Let me illustrate. I heard once of an American who so defined faith. That faculty which enables us to believe things that we know to be untrue. For one, I follow that man. He meant that we shall have an open mind and not let a little bit of truth check the rush from a big truth, like a small rock does a railway truck. We get the small truth first, good, keep him, we value him, but all the same we must not let him think himself all the truth in the universe. Then you want me not to let some previous conviction injure the receptivity of my mind with regard to some strange matter. Do I read your lesson right? Ah, you are my favorite pupil still. It is worth to teach you. Now that you are willing to understand, you have taken the first step. You think then that those small holes in the children's throats were made by the same that made the hole in Miss Lucy? I suppose so. He stood up and said solemnly, "Then you are wrong. Oh, were it so, but alas, no. It is worse. Far, far worse." "In God's name, Professor Van Helsing, what do you mean?" I cried. He threw himself with a despairing gesture into a chair and placed his elbows on the table, covering his face with his hands as he spoke. "They were made by Miss Lucy." And that concludes chapter 14. So we're going to move on shortly, but just very quickly, I'm just going to explain what these streams are about for this month. So, all the month of October, I'm reading Dracula by Bram Stoker in sections, pieces, and other streams on Tuesday and Wednesday evenings. And this is all in aid of raising money for a charity known as Mermaids. So Mermaids are a charity that supports trans and non-binary and gender diverse youth. And they do fantastic work in advocating for people who are trans in society. They have a phone number for trans youths to call for advice and help. And they also support families that are bringing up trans teenagers and so on, that have questions and want to get guidance. And yeah, they do fantastic work. They're really amazing. I'm going to drop the link. I think the bot seems a bit... Normally I have a bot in the chat that's going to drop a link every so often, but it doesn't seem to have wanted to do it tonight, so I'm just going to drop this in here. Copy that. Okay, link is in the chat. So yeah, if you're watching this in the VODs, also the link will show up in the description. It might be over there, might be down there, be somewhere. And just look in the description, it'll be there. So if you want to check that out, please do. Huge. Oh, minor chat fail there. Okay. Huge thanks to Sylvac the Owl for being our first donator. So far we've raised £110 for Mermaids, and they've already contacted me. That's super thankful for the money that's been raised so far. So if you're in a position where you're able to donate and you're motivated to do so, please consider tossing over a few bucks, a few pounds. Really will make an enormous difference. Even it's very much one of those, every penny makes a difference kind of things. So if you can, please do. But, not everyone can, that's fine. Things are difficult, the economy is difficult, times are hard. If you could share it with someone, if you know someone that might be interested, please put it in front of them. And if not, just by being here, the increased numbers on the channel will hopefully pull in a few more people, and then they will see the link, and hopefully we'll get some more donations before the end of the month. So, in advance, whether you're donating or spreading the word or simply watching, for Mermaids, thank you.